I can see the supreme importance of the now, but I cannot quite go along with you when you say that time is a complete illusion. When I say time is an illusion, my intention is not to make a philosophical statement. I am just reminding you of a fact so obvious that you may find it hard to grasp and may even find it meaningless. But once fully realized, it can cut like a sword through all the mind created layers of complexity and problems. Let me say it again. The present moment is all you ever have. There is never a time when your life is not this moment. Is this not a fact? The insanity of psychological time. You will not have any doubt that psychological time is a mental disease. If you look at its collective manifestations, they occur, for example, in the form of ideologies such as communism, National Socialism, or any nationalism, or rigid religious belief systems which operate under the implicit assumption that the highest good lies in the future and that therefore the end justifies the means. The end is an idea, a point in the mind projected future where salvation is whatever form happiness, fulfillment, equality, liberation, and so on will be attained. Not infrequently, the means of getting there are the enslavement, torture, and murder of people in the present. For example, it is estimated that as many as 50 million people were murdered to further the cause of communism, to bring about a better world in Russia, China, and other countries. This is a chilling example of how belief in a future heaven creates a present hell. Can there be any doubt that psychological time is a serious and dangerous mental illness? How does this mind pattern operate in your life? Are you always trying to get somewhere other than where you are? Is most of your doing just a means to an end? Is fulfillment always just around the corner or confined to short lived pleasures such as sex, food, drinks, drugs, or thrills and excitement? Are you always focused on becoming, achieving, and attaining, or alternatively chasing some new thrill or pleasure? Do you believe that if you acquire more things, you will become more fulfilled, good enough, or psychologically complete? Are you waiting for a man or woman to give meaning to your life? In the normal, mind identified or unenlightened state of consciousness, the power and infinite creative potential that lie concealed in the now are completely obscured by psychological time. Your life then loses its vibrancy, its freshness, its sense of wonder. The old patterns of thought, emotion, behavior, reaction, and desire are acted out in endless repeat performances, a script in your mind that gives you an identity of sorts, but distorts or covers up the reality of the now. The mind then creates an obsession with the future as an escape from the unsatisfactory present. So, the mind, you know, a lot of times we start associating our moods, our happiness, our well-being with something external. Now there is, I don't say it is, there is something wrong in it. It's good to have luxuries in life. It's good to have, external objects. Nice. Sometimes they make your life more convenient. But the thought or that resonation with the fact, or that association with that fact, that that is only going to give you happiness, then that is temporary happiness. Because anything in the external will never be the same. Anything that is external will always continue to change. Today you have money, tomorrow you will have more money. Day after tomorrow, probably you will not have that much money. Today you have good health, you don't take care of it. Probably tomorrow you don't have a good health, or you have a much better health. So anything which is external will always change. So जब हम एक ऐसी चीज पे अपनी एक एसोसिएशन बना देते हैं कि यही मेरे को हैप्पीनेस देगा या यही मेरे लिए सब कुछ है, सो दिस इज नथिंग बट एन इल्यूजन ऑफ द माइंड, जो कि फिर हर एक को एक फ्यूचर इवेंट के साथ रखता है कि हाँ वो होगा तो ये हो जाएगा, ठीक। जब वो हो जाता है, माइंड एक नई चीज ले आता है. दिस इज अ नेवर एंडिंग थिंग. इट्स लाइक रनिंग आफ्टर योर ओन शैडो. यू कैन नेवर कैच योर ओन शैडो. But yeah, in order to be aware that your shadow is there, you can just walk and let it follow. But the moment you try to, go behind your own shadow, you'll be running like a dog in a circular motion. You won't be able to catch it. Never possible. Nahi hai. That's a similar. That is exactly the same as when you are running after, something which is external and basing our emotions, our happiness, our anything to do with anything external on the external event itself. As I said earlier, if we are talking about happiness, happiness is in the now. It's the actual state of being. We just need to realize that fact. Happiness कहीं कोई बाहर से नहीं मिलनी है, या जो इनर जो पीसफुल या कामनेस है वो बाहर नहीं मिलनी है. We just have to realize it because it's already there inside. It's not outside. But in order to be in that state where we are able to, you know, realize this, that the receptivity is actually, or everything which we're talking about is actually inside, that's the whole journey. External में तो वो transient है, वो तो change होता रहेगा. It's like you set up one goal, you achieve it, then there is another goal waiting, then there is another goal. It's an endless process. It will never end. And it's nothing but then again, you're creating layers over layers over layers over layers. But the true core, which is inside, and when once we pull all the layers and get to that core, that is where you realize that happiness was or is your true state of being. You don't need anything to be happy. That is your true state of being. If you want to be happy, you have to be happy right now. That is true acceptance of what is. And yes, no judgment, no expectation, no criticism, no comparison. Negativity and suffering have their roots in time. But the belief that the future will be better than the present is not always an illusion. The present can be dreadful and things can get better in future, and often they do. Usually the future is a replica of the past. Superficial changes are possible, but real transformation is rare and depends upon whether you can become present enough to dissolve the past by accessing the power of the now. What you perceive as future is an intrinsic part of your state of consciousness now. In your mind, if your mind carries a heavy burden of past, you will experience more of the same. The past perpetuates itself through lack of presence. The quality of your consciousness at this moment is what shapes the future, which of course can only be experienced as the now. You may win $10 million, but that kind of change is no more than skin deep. you would simply continue to act out the same conditioned patterns in a more luxurious surroundings. Humans have learned to split the atom. Instead of killing 10 or 20 people with a wooden club, as one person can now kill a million by just pushing a button. Is that real change? If it is the quality of your consciousness at this moment that determines the future, then what is it that determines the quality of your consciousness? Your degree of presence. So, the only place where true change can occur and where the past can be dissolved is in the now. So, we need to be totally present to the now, because जो अभी है, that is the only reality. जो पीछे चले गया, we can't change it. We cannot change the past. We do not have those, cartoon time machines that we can get back into time and change it. No, we cannot. What we can do about the past is, if there is certain things which are bothering you in your present, you can go there, relive that moment, and probably do some healing or probably do some therapy there, so that that thought is healed. But you cannot change it. That's the hard reality. And whatever is there in the future, it has to be experienced in the now. जो भी आपको चाहिए उसके लिए आपको अभी कुछ करना है. So you need to be attentive, you need to have your awareness in the present moment, in the now. And that determines the quality of your consciousness. That is raising your consciousness to the higher realms. All negativity is caused by an accumulation of psychological time and denial of the present. Unease, anxiety, tension, stress, worry, all forms of fear are caused by too much future and not enough presence. Guilt, regret, resentment, grievances, sadness, bitterness, and all forms of non forgiveness are caused by too much past and not enough presence. Most people find it difficult to believe that a state of consciousness totally free of all negativity is possible. And yet, this is the liberated state to which all spiritual teachings point. It is the promise of salvation, not in an illusionary future, but right here and now. You may find it hard to recognize that time is the cause of your suffering or your problems. You believe that they are caused by specific situations in your life, and seen from a conventional viewpoint, this is true. But until you have dealt with the basic problem making dysfunction of the mind, its attachment to past and future and denial of the now, problems are actually interchangeable. If all your problems or perceived causes of suffering or unhappiness were miraculously removed for you today, but you had not become more present, more conscious, you would soon find yourself with a similar set of problems or causes of suffering, like a shadow that follows you wherever you go. Ultimately, there is only one problem: the time bound mind itself. I cannot believe that I could ever reach a point where I'm completely free of my problems. You are right. You can never reach that point because you are at that point now. There is no salvation in time. You cannot be free in the future. Presence is the key to freedom. So you can only be free now. So जो भी है वो अभी है. It's in the now. Because in the now may there is no comparison to any past, or there is no anxiety of anything in the future. It is as it is, and you are in the now, being as you are. finding the life underneath your life situation. I don't see how I can be free now. As it happens, I am extremely unhappy with my life at the moment. This is a fact. And I would be deluding myself if I tried to convince myself that all is well when it definitely isn't. To me, the present moment is very unhappy. It is not liberating at all. What keeps me going is the hope or possibility of some improvement in the future. You think that your attention is in the present moment when it's actually taken up completely by time. You cannot be both unhappy and fully present in the now. What you refer to as your life should more accurately be called your life situation. It is psychological time, past and future. Certain things in the past didn't go the way you wanted them to go. You are still resisting what happened in the past. And now you are resisting what is. Hope is what keeps you going, but hope keeps you focused on the future. And this continued focus perpetuates your denial of the now and therefore your unhappiness. Is it true that my present life situation is the result of things that happened in the past, but it is still my present situation, and being stuck in it is what makes me unhappy? Forget about your life situation for a while and pay attention to life. What is the difference? Your life situation exists in time. Your life is now. Your life situation is mind stuff. Your life is real. Find the narrow gate that leads to life. It is called the now. Narrow your life down to this moment. Your situation may be full of problems. Most life situations are. But find out if you have any problem at this moment, not tomorrow or in 10 minutes, but now. Do you have a problem now? When you are full of problems, there is no room for anything new to enter, no room for a solution. So, whenever you can, make some room, create some space so that you find the life underneath your life situation. Use your senses fully. Be where you are. Look around, just look. Don't interpret. See the lights, shapes, colors, textures. Be aware of the silent presence of each thing. Be aware of the space that allows everything to be. Listen to the sounds, don't judge them. Listen to the silence underneath the sounds. Touch something, anything, and feel and acknowledge its being. Observe the rhythm of your breathing. Feel the air flowing in and out. Feel the life energy inside your body. Allow everything to be within and without. Allow the isness of all things. Move deeply into the now. You are leaving behind the deadening world of mental abstraction of time. You are getting out of the insane mind that is draining you of life energy, just as it is slowly poisoning and destroying the earth. You are awakening out of the dream of time into the present. So you need to be present in the now and need to be aware of that isness. कोई भी चीज अभी जो हो रही है, अगर हमने if we are comparing it with something of the past, or we are thinking about expecting something from the future, is not in the now. सारी चीजें पास्ट और प्रेजेंट में जा रही है. In the now is just as it is. There is no comparison, there is no judgment, there is no expectation, and there is no criticism. It is as it is. That is the isness of life. That is the isness of now. जो माइंड करता है वो जजमेंट करेगा, कोई लेबलिंग करेगा, कोई कंपैरिजन करेगा, कोई क्रिटिसाइज करेगा, कोई एक्सपेक्टेशन देगा फ्यूचर की. But the true being or being in the now is as it is. But अगर हम उसमें कुछ माइंड को बोले भैया बेटा तू भी कुछ कर, you know, he'll start doing some labeling, some judgment, some expectation, something here and there, because it does not want to be in the now. There is no room for mind in the now. You get the point? In the now, mind क्या करे? उसका काम है सोचना. क्या सोचे वो? किसी पास्ट के बारे में ही सोचेगा, या कल क्या होगा, 5 मिनट बाद क्या होगा, क्लास के बाद क्या होगा, वही सोचेगा ना. Any thought you have in your mind is never of the now, because when you're in the now there is no thought. और थॉट माइंड का काम है. तो जब वो थॉट माइंड लेके आएगा तो वो कोई पास्ट के साथ लेके आएगा या फ्यूचर के लेके आएगा. In the now there is no mind. When you're truly in the now, your mind is still, it can't do anything. So be present to the isness of life. It is as it is. I don't want to label it, I don't want to judge it, I don't want to expect anything out of it, and I do not want to compare myself to it, and I do not want to criticize it. It is as it is. Plain simple. And that is the isness of life. That is the isness of now. But there is no mind. There is no room for mind there. All problems are illusions of the mind. It feels as if a heavy burden has been lifted, a sense of lightness. I feel clear, but my problems are still there waiting for me, aren't they? They haven't been solved. Am I not just temporarily evading them? If you found yourself in paradise, it wouldn't be long before your mind would say yes. But ultimately, this is not about solving your problems. It's about realizing that there are no problems, only situations to be dealt with now, or to be left alone and accepted as part of the isness of the present moment until they change or can be dealt with. Problems are mind-made and need time to survive. They cannot survive in the actuality of the now. Focus your attention on the now and tell me what problem you have at this moment. So all problems, all issues are all mind created. They are situations, and they become a problem because they are not the way you wanted it to be. Because in that sphere of life where we are probably unconscious and not consciously aware, we feel this is not what we wanted. अब एक्चुअल में हमने वो चीज मैनिफेस्ट की थी कि नहीं की थी हमें थोड़ा पता है. बट हमारा कॉन्शियस माइंड या हमारा इगोइस्टिक माइंड आज हमें ये बोल रहा है यार ये चीज तो ठीक नहीं है, मेरे हिसाब से तो ये होना नहीं चाहिए था. So that means there is an issue here, that means there is a problem here. Who's creating it? It's the mind. With what? A comparison, a judgment, a label. और क्या कर रहा है वो? Actual reality में क्या है? This is a situation. Okay. What is it that I need to learn in this situation? Okay, there is pain in the situation. Okay, pain is part of it. Okay, there is pleasure in the situation. Okay. Remember, whatever is outside remains outside, but the meaning you give to it, that is where the association gets clinged in. And that is where you give it that energy. उस चीज में वो इशू नहीं है, आपने उसको क्या एनर्जी देके एसोसिएट किया है अपने साथ, दैट इज द रूट कॉज. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, there is a lot of dust around you wherever you are. Okay, for a person, he can get uncomfortable with the dust. यार बहुत मिट्टी है, बहुत मिट्टी है. ठीक है, he is uncomfortable because the mind is saying this is something which does not should be the way I want it to be. Okay, he's comparing with a clean environment. For example, somebody is being told to go out and have a dirt mask on, so that जब वो dirt है हम उसको अपने इस ब्यूटीफुल फेशियल मसाज पैकेज में अगर हम उसको साफ करेंगे तो आपकी स्किन बड़ी साफ हो जाएगी. सेम सिचुएशन, one person is uncomfortable, the other person says मेरी तो बड़ा अच्छा फेशियल मसाज होगा. He'll enjoy it. Why? Is there anything with the dust? No. Is the association of that person, is the association of that mind with that same event. So problem event में नहीं है, problem mind की association में है उसके साथ. So anything that we feel as a problem is created by the mind only. Reality में it is just a situation, but our meaning that has been attached to that situation drives us crazy, because then we are not in the now, and then there is a lot of judgment, a lot of labeling, a lot of expectations, a lot of comparison, and a lot of criticism, because that is the working of the mind. सिचुएशन में जो हो रहा है वो एक बंदे के लिए ठीक है और एक बंदा उससे अनहैप्पी है, that means there is nothing in that situation. It is the association of the mind of that person with that event or that situation that is driving everything. So in itself, there is no problem, there is no issue, but the mind creates an association. So any problem or any issue is actually created, it's a projection of the mind. Reality mein, it is as it is. I am not getting any answer because it is impossible to have a problem when your attention is fully in the now. A situation that needs to be either dealt with or accepted, yes. Why make it into a problem? Why make anything into a problem? Isn't life challenging enough as it is? Why do you need problems for? What do you need problems for? The mind unconsciously loves problems because they give you an identity of sorts. This is normal and it is insane. Problem means that you are dwelling on a situation mentally without there being a true intention or possibility of taking action now, and that you are unconsciously making it a part of your sense of self. You become so overwhelmed by a life situation that you lose your sense of life, of being, or you are carrying in your mind the insane burden of 100 things that you find or may have to do in the future, instead of focusing your attention on the one thing that you can do now. When you create a problem, you create pain. All it takes is a simple choice, a simple decision. No matter what happens, I will create no more pain for myself. I will create no more problems. Although it is a simple choice, it is also very radical. You won't make that choice unless you are truly fed up with suffering unless you have truly had enough. And you won't be able to go through with it unless you access the power of the now. If you create no more pain for yourself, then you create no more pain for others. You also no longer contaminate the beautiful earth, your inner space, and the collective human psyche with the negativity of problem making.